Hello everybody. Before starting my presentation in this workshop in honor of Professor Kunii, I would like to tell a few words about him and how I knew him. At the end of 1982, I discovered a call for papers for the conference Intergraphics 83 in Tokyo. With my wife Nadia, we decided to submit a paper, and it was accepted. We came to Tokyo to attend the conference. Not only we presented our paper, but it was the beginning of a long relationship with Professor Kunii. We came every year to Japan during 12 years, participating to conference and even spending half a sabbatical year in Tokyo and Aizu. I am so grateful to Professor Kunii, who supported me during many years, invited me for papers in special issues and conferences. This is also during this year that we contributed to the creation and development of the Computer Graphics Society and CGI. I also think about his wife, that we had the chance to meet several times in Tokyo. Now I would like to start my presentation in this workshop about the history of crowd simulation. This is a joint paper with Soraya Muse, my former PhD student who is professor in Brazil since many years, and his student Vinicius Joenic Castle. You see a crowd. What is a crowd? A crowd is a large number of people which are closely together, but it can be just a group or set of people with something in common. It can be an audience, it can be an attendance, a team, the common people, the masses, but it can be just a temporary group of people with just one collective behavior. In this paper, we don't try to analyze all the method on crowd simulation, but what we look at is the number of papers and the evolution of papers during 30 years. This means from 1987 to 1999, this means 13 years, you have only about 12 papers or 13 papers. But then if we look every 5 years, we see that from 2000 to 2004, there were about 20 papers. But 2005 to 2009, it was 60 papers. Then from 2010 to 2014, 75 papers. And finally, in 2015 to 2019, over 100. And it continues. But what are these different papers? Is there any evolution in them? Before 2000, it was a time of flux and behaviors. It started with Craig Reynolds, who created the first flock of birds. It's not a crowd, because it's not a crowd of humans, but it's some way a crowd of birds. And the birds are simulated using particles, like a particle system where the birds are particles. But there is a distributed behavioral model where each bird is an independent actor, which is with a local perception, physical laws, and set of behaviors. The first model of human crowd is a model that was developed during the PhD of Soraya Muse. I proposed her to work on crowd, but nobody has worked on crowd of humans. So it was a challenge. It started in 1950, 1905, and then in 97 there was a first publication on a model of human crowd behavior. And in 2001 there was a more elaborated papers on this. You see here, you already have an event that makes the people flying, so they run, they walk, then they run, and you have an emergent behavior. So a lot of things were already in this model. But from 2000 to 2004, it was the virtual human behavior that was really the key aspect. And we see here an example where what is interesting is that you have in a global behavior, but this global behavior is driven by local, because what you see is like when you are in a queue, the queue advances, but the queue advances because individual advance. You have first individual advance and then, and you have an aspect in this of psychology and geometric. From 2005 to 2009, it's a time of navigation. Well, navigation means fast navigation. We need fast because if you have a lot of people, fast, and you should know where they are, and you make the journey. But we have one the people know where to go and will avoid each other. But at the same time, we can have emergent behavior. For example, play information. When you have people walk, in fact, they form minutes. They don't know. They do this. Another word, emergent behavior, the panic. So this was like, From 2010 to 2014, it was a time of collision avoidance. This is a time where this paper is interesting because you have multiple mobile robots and they avoid collision. They are massive robots, but what we see is that they are fully independent. There is no communication with other robots. So robots here are just disks. But what we see is that you have a lot of robots, and what we have in this is that you avoid completely the collision between them. You see, the collision avoidance, it is done only in a few milliseconds. So it's an interesting because it works for thousands of robots or thousands of agents, of course. You see here they finally arrive all on a circle without any collision. In the ADAPT system that we have here, what is interesting this time is a combination of locomotion. You can see people can walk and run. But there is a gaze tracking. They can have gestures. They can react to external physical forces. And there is a navigation component, which means that they are able to maneuver through a complex environment. And they avoid dynamic obstacles. And finally, they can even arrive in a place where they sit down. So you see there is a complex behavior behind this system. Since 2015 is a time of learning techniques. And one of the most interesting aspects is BioClouds. So again, the team of Soraya Mousse who have introduced this. What is interesting is a combination of microscopic and macroscopic simulation strategy. This means that we have, in fact, a cloud which is a group of agents with a global characteristic. But you will see that in this example that you have individuals that just go in the other way. And so this is a kind of perturbation of the global behavior due to the local one. And in the same spirit, we have torso crowd. Torso crowd is that we have also a dense crowd simulation, but what we have is that the people twist their torso to pass between others, which is common, and not with the COVID-19. But now what we have is to use capsule-shaped agents to plan the torso orientation. You see here, all the people move. We have, in fact, active agents that try to maneuver and passive agents that don't maneuver. And there is also a concept of focus point. Is, for example, here we have three in the green ones. They want to stay together, and they will stay together. We see here in the lift, they stick together. They don't like to move too much, and so they are passive. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, please.